Pre-painted minis are durable and convenient for players and GMs who don't have time to paint, but their paint jobs range from good to meh to ugh, which begs the question, can you repaint pre-painted minis? Well, we tried and got surprisingly good results, and we show you how to do it today on Dungeon Craft.
Deathbringer here. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and sign up for the Deathbringer RPG newsletter below.
Welcome to Dungeon Craft. I'm Professor DM, and this channel is about homebrew, do-it-yourself crafting and gaming. And if that sounds cool, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and hit all to receive all our videos as soon as they hit YouTube. Thanks to all the patrons on Patreon for making this content possible. Pre-painted minis are great for kids and folks who don't have the time or money to invest in learning how to paint miniatures, but at some point you might want to repaint them. Turns out it's super easy to do, and you don't need to prime the model because it already has paint on it. You just paint right over it. This dwarf was painted by one of my younger group members, and it was one of our first models ever. Repainting minis is a great way to get kids into painting miniatures, which can be expensive, but less than video games, and painting teaches patience, and it's a great way for kids to unplug. These are the four figures I'll paint today. This witch hunter, this fighter, you may recognize him as Roderick from the DM's Craft with DM Scotty. Decent figure, but we can make him look even better. And I call this guy the Sunburned Barbarian and his orc buddy. Let's start with the witch hunter. For this project, I'm using cheap number 8 round brushes from Hobby Lobby. They're like $1/4 a piece. I start by dulling down his coat with a matte leather and repainting his boots with a matte black gray. I painted his skin with Reaper Tan Shadow, which I often use as a base coat. I repaint the torch white to get a clean slate. This is how to paint flame using Army Painter speed paints. You hit the entire flame with yellow, the top half orange, and the top third red. For extra credit, you can paint the tips black and highlight with Misty Gray to make it look like smoke. Super easy, the speed paints do all the work for you. Look at how much better this looks already. Next, I hit the buttons and buckles with silver and highlight the front boot with light gray. I do the edges with a lighter brown and added a little khaki to the leather paint to distinguish the straps and pouch. Before and after. I know what you're thinking, what about the eyes? Put a pin in that, and I'll show you my secret to eyes at the end. Next is Roderick. I darkened the cloak and the weapons and once again used tan shadow for the skin. Matte leather brown for the gloves and boots. Blonde hair is tricky. You can't just slap yellow over a black primer and get blonde hair. You start with Reaper Blonde Shadow for a base coat. Then you can highlight with Reaper Blonde Hair. Then I highlighted the edges of the cloak with a lighter gray and presto! It looks like real fur. I painted the arrow feathers red and lightened the brown fur edges in the front. Before and after. Huge improvement in just 10 minutes. Sunburned Barbarian is perhaps the worst miniature I have ever seen. Can this model be saved? It's coming up right after this message from our sponsor. The Merry Mushmen, publishers of Knock Magazine, proudly present an adventure double feature. Compatible with Old School Essentials, Deathbringer, and Shadow Dark. First, the Horrendous Hounds of Heddenburg, a folk horror hex crawl across the cryptwood. People, rumors, encounters, forests, monsters, dungeon, and a spider queen brain, which is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen, and I want to run it so bad. Second, Raiding the Obsidian Keep. Explore Isla Requia and discover the blasphemous evil lurking there. A harbor of death, skeleton fish, a creepy keep, easy to read stat blocks, original monsters, and grimdark themes. 72 pages, 80 locations with concise descriptions for low prep from the creators of Knock, Black Sword Hack, A Folklore Bestiary, and Nightmare Over Ragged Hollow, and it's shipping in August. And check out Knock number 4 because I wrote an article in there about Deathbringer. Links below. Alright, these two miniatures are a hot mess. Let's start with the orc. The skin makes a decent base, so I lighten the raised areas like the fingers, knuckles, and knees and cheekbones with a lighter green and paint the eyes dark green. I lighten the highest areas of the tunic and painted both shoulder pads matte leather and hit the studs with silver. I mixed chainmail with a little black to make the axe look more iron than steel. Now for the Sunburned Barbarian. Ugh. I painted his skin with GW Bugman's Glow and the beard and hair a reddish brown and washed the mouth with a thin black gray so you could see where the mouth ends and the lips begin. And behold, his face emerges. On his back, I aimed for a consistent coat. Remember to thin your paints so they are the consistency of milk so you get a smooth and even coverage. Never paint right out of the bottle. If you're painting with kids, thin the paint for them. I painted the arm and foot bands a matte brown and lightened the loincloth. Next, I highlighted the muscles with GW Cadian Flesh Tone to get some definition on those biceps. Let's talk tattoos. The key to painting tattoos is to mix the primary color, I chose blue, with Reaper Tan Shadow. I used a 50-50 mix. Wow, what a difference. I'll be honest, I didn't think this model could be saved. It is so much better. Now we have to shade and protect the model. I use Army Painter Quick Shade, an oil-based varnish. I'm using soft tone quick shade, but you can also use strong tone quick shade and get darker recesses. I mix thoroughly with the popsicle sticks. Remember to mix, not shake. Shaking will cause bubbles to form and we don't want bubbles. I dip the entire model into varnish and set it aside. Then I use pliers to hold the base and shake off the model outside. Be careful. Oil-based paint can only be removed with mineral spirits. I let gravity do the work, allowing the quick shade to settle into the recesses and shade the model. Some quick shade will pool around the feet, so I sop it up with an old cheap brush. I also sop up any pools that may have settled on the model and wipe the excess off on a paper towel. The can says to wait 24 to 48 hours for the quick shade to harden completely. I always wait the full 48. I want it to be rock solid so it will repel my players' Cheeto-licking fingers. You'll notice the models are very glossy, which is good because gloss offers better protection. You could bring the shine down with Army Painter Anti-Shine. Another reason you wait 24 hours is because if you don't, you could get a frosty finish. Set the models under a lamp to dry for a couple of hours. You don't want to bake them, you just want to warm them. This prevents that frost from forming. Allow them to dry for 24 hours and your models will be ready for the table. Before and after. Witch Hunter front and back. Roderick front and back. I promised I'd share my secret to eyes, so here it is. First, shrink the eye. Just paint around it with the flesh color that you used. In this case, Cadian Flesh Tone. Then I use a number 0 brush, the only time I'm using it, to put a little linen white dot in the corner. So you're not painting the pupil, you're painting the white of the eye. It's a common mistake to put the pupil in the center of the eye. Our eyes focus at what they're looking at, so they're actually much closer to the nose. But if you're a newer painter, you could just say to hell with it and just shade the model and let it be. Your players aren't going to really notice. The model's going to be 3 feet away on the table. I didn't bother to paint the whites of this bounty hunter's eyes because you're never going to see him under the brim of the hat. And some models like our sunburned barbarian, there really is no eye to find. That's another tip. Let the model do the painting. By this I mean, don't struggle. High-end miniatures have better sculpts and better defined features that paint themselves, and an expert painter can take to epic levels. But cheap models like pre-painted minis just don't have that level of definition. Don't sweat it, accept it. Your model may not be a Golden Demon finalist, but it'll look better than it originally did and will impress your friends. Easy projects like this give you a sense of satisfaction and the confidence you need to take the next step in your painting journey. Thanks for stopping by, and click on these videos for more crafting tips. Happy painting, and may all your rolls be 20s. So Deathbringer, how do you like your new armor upgrade?
It's about time. I carry this whole show. Now click on these videos and watch more dungeon craft.